Imagine the ocean at night, calm and endless, stretching far beyond the horizon where the stars meet the sea. You're floating gently, the water cool against your skin, the air filled with the salt of life. And then, just as a wave curls beside you, you notice something impossible, the glow of a creature that should not be able to bend the rules of time. Tonight we begin with one of Earth's quietest, yet most astonishing mysteries, the immortal jellyfish. Some creatures seem fragile, delicate, and fleeting, but this jellyfish has learned a secret that even the wisest among us cannot grasp. Its scientific name is Turritopsis dohrnii, though most simply call it the immortal jellyfish. It drifts in warm coastal waters, translucent and small, almost unremarkable at first glance. Yet, hidden within its pulsing body is a gift that challenges our understanding of life itself. For when this jellyfish is injured, stressed, or even at the end of its natural cycle, it can do something extraordinary. It turns back the clock. It transforms its adult body into a youthful polyp once again. A kind of return to childhood, as if a butterfly could fold its wings and become a caterpillar all over again. You might imagine this reversal as a fairy tale, but it has been observed in laboratories around the world. Scientists have watched these jellyfish regenerate and renew, not once, but repeatedly, as if life itself were written in a circular script. The cycle is not endless for every individual, of course. Predators still hunt them. Accidents still occur. But given the right conditions, the immortal jellyfish may outlive every calendar, every season, every tide. As you rest here drifting with this creature in your imagination, notice the rhythm of its movement. Jellyfish do not swim like fish. They pulse, expanding and contracting softly like a heartbeat in the water. Each motion is quiet, a reminder of the subtle rhythms that sustain all of life. And within this fragile body lies the capacity to begin again. Think about how unusual this island. Most of us grow, we mature, and eventually we age. Time moves forward without pause. But in the body of this jellyfish, time is not a line. It is a circle. Whenever it needs to, it can fold inward, return to its beginnings, and rewrite the story of its existence. For humans, this might sound like myth or dream, but for this tiny creature, it is simply life. Why does such a gift exist? Some researchers suggest it may be an evolutionary trick, a survival strategy in environments where conditions change rapidly. By reverting to its earlier stage, the jellyfish can wait out hardship, rebuild itself, and try again. It's as though the ocean whispered a secret to this species alone. If you cannot move forward, turn back and start anew. And as you listen to this story, perhaps you feel a sense of calm in knowing that even the smallest beings on Earth carry possibilities we cannot fully explain. Nature is not bound by the limits we imagine. Life, in all its quiet creativity, finds ways to surprise us again and again. Picture now the dark sea around this jellyfish. The water shimmers faintly with drifting plankton. The surface above reflects a silver moon. Everything is soft, still, and alive. The jellyfish pulses gently, timeless in its cycle, a living reminder that endings are not always final. For some, every ending is only another beginning. And maybe that's what soothes us tonight. Because when you close your eyes and feel the weight of the day fade, you too are stepping into a cycle. Sleep itself is a kind of renewal, a turning back, a chance to restore what was tired and to begin again when morning comes. In this way, you are not so different from the immortal jellyfish. You may not reset your age, but you reset your strength, your dreams, your spirit. There is something comforting in knowing that life carries within it these quiet loops: birth, growth, pause, renewal. The jellyfish is not breaking the rules. It is following a deeper rhythm written long before we learned how to count time. Perhaps if we listen closely, we can feel a part of that rhythm too. Scientists continue to study this little creature, searching for clues about aging, healing, and regeneration. Could its secrets help us one day? Perhaps. But even if they never do, its existence is enough. It tells us that nature's imagination is larger than ours, that life holds patterns more intricate and strange than anything we design. So tonight, as you breathe slowly and let your thoughts soften, hold this image close. A translucent bell drifting under the moon, ageless quiet, suspended between past and future. Each pulse carries it forward, yet each moment holds the possibility of return. There is no hurry, no race, no fear, only the gentle reminder that life is patient and that time itself may bend in ways we do not yet understand. Let the waves carry you deeper into rest. Let the glow of this creature illuminate the edges of your dreams. Like the jellyfish, you too can let go, surrender to the water of the night, and trust that when the dawn comes, you will be renewed. And if the immortal jellyfish can survive endlessly by circling back, then perhaps we too can learn that every pause, every silence, every sleep is not an end, but another beginning. So close your eyes now and drift with the tide. Feel the rhythm of your breath matching the pulse of the sea. And remember, somewhere beneath the quiet surface of the world, a tiny creature is gently starting over again and again, reminding us that nothing is ever truly finished. Far smaller than your fingertip, almost invisible without a microscope, lives a creature so tough, so improbable, that it has earned the nickname water bear. Its true name is tardigrade, and despite its tiny wrinkled body and slow walk, it holds a secret that defies imagination. Tonight we drift with these microscopic wanderers, following them beyond mountains and oceans, even into the silence of outer space. A tardigrade is less than a millimeter long, a miniature world of legs, claws, and resilience. Under magnification, it resembles a gummy bear, with 8 stumpy legs, yet its appearance hides an almost magical endurance. While most living things crumble under extremes, the tardigrade adapts. It can survive freezing near absolute zero, where molecules barely move. It can endure boiling heat, where water turns to vapor. It withstands crushing pressure, lethal radiation, and even the vacuum of space itself. In 2007, scientists launched thousands of tardigrades into orbit. They exposed them to radiation cold and the weightless void. Weeks later, when the tiny creatures were brought back to Earth, many were still alive, waking as though nothing had happened. They had endured conditions that would kill nearly every other organism. How did they do it? The answer lies in a state called cryptobiosis. When faced with danger, tardigrades can nearly shut themselves down. They dry their bodies, curl into tight little balls called tons, and suspend their metabolism almost completely. In this form, they are neither truly alive nor truly dead. They simply wait, and they can wait for years, even decades, until water returns and life resumes. Think about that. A creature so small it can walk between grains of sand, yet able to outlast ice ages, volcanic eruptions, and the silence of space. It is humbling to know that such resilience is written into something so easily overlooked. The tardigrade does not fight storms with strength. It survives them with patience. Picture one now tucked into moss on a quiet stone, drifting through a droplet of water. The droplet evaporates, leaving dryness that would kill most life. But the tardigrade folds inward, locks itself into stillness, and endures. Hours pass then, days, then years. Rain falls again, reawakening the moss, and with it the tardigrade stirs. It stretches out its legs, blinks back into motion, and carries on as though time itself had paused just for it. This ability has fascinated scientists, not only because it is extraordinary, but because it suggests possibilities beyond Earth. If tardigrades can survive in space, then perhaps life elsewhere in the universe need not be large, visible, or even active most of the time. It might simply endure, tucked away, waiting for the right conditions to bloom. The tardigrade, in its quiet perseverance, whispers to us that life finds a way. As you rest tonight, let this thought comfort you. Even the smallest, softest beings can carry the greatest strength. You don't need armor or size to endure. Sometimes the greatest power lies in the ability to pause, to conserve, to wait for the moment when life becomes kind again. And isn't that what sleep itself is? A gentle pause, a retreat into stillness, a way of preserving strength until the light returns. In your own way, you are practicing cryptobiosis each night, stepping into rest so that you can rise again. The tardigrade reminds us that patience is survival and that waiting is not weakness but wisdom. Now imagine drifting through the stars alongside a water bear. Its tiny body glows faintly against the blackness of space, tumbling slowly past constellations, untouched by cold or silence. It carries within it a story as old as Earth itself. Tardigrades have walked this planet for over 500 million years, surviving 5 mass extinctions, persisting while species rose and vanished. They have been here longer than flowers, longer than birds, longer than us. They are survivors not by force, but by surrender. There is something soothing about knowing that life does not always rush, does not always push forward. Sometimes it curls inward, holds still and waits. And in that waiting strength gathers. You too can let yourself pause. You too can trust that stillness is not an end, but a preparation for beginning again. As your breath slows and your body softens into rest, remember the water bear in its tongue folded gently untouched by time. Remember that even when all seems harsh, when conditions are not in your favor, there is wisdom in retreating, in holding on quietly and letting the world pass until it becomes gentle again. The tardigrade may be small, but it teaches a lesson written in patience. Life is resilient, not because it resists, but because it adapts. And tonight, as you drift deeper into sleep, you can carry that lesson with you. You are part of this resilience, part of this story, part of the endless creativity of life. So, close your eyes, let your body fold softly like the water bear, and surrender to the quiet pause of night. When morning comes like the tardigrade in rain, you will stretch again, renewed, ready to move forward. Take a deep breath right now, slow and steady, feeling your chest rise and fall. That breath, invisible yet vital, connects you to the air around you, to the plants outside your window, to the forests and oceans far beyond your reach. Oxygen is so ordinary that we rarely stop to think about it. And yet once upon a time, this very gas, the one keeping you alive in this moment, was poison. Tonight we journey back billions of years to a world where oxygen was not a gift, but a deadly threat. Picture the Earth over 2 billion years ago. There were no trees, no animals, no flowers swaying in the breeze. Life was simple then. Tiny microbes drifting in oceans that covered most of the planet. The air was thick with gases we would find suffocating today: methane, carbon dioxide, nitrogen. And among the earliest creatures were anaerobes, microorganisms that thrived without oxygen. For them, oxygen was not only unnecessary, it was fatal. Then quietly, something extraordinary happened. A new kind of microbe appeared: cyanobacteria. These tiny beings discovered how to capture sunlight and use it to create energy through photosynthesis. In the process, they released oxygen as a byproduct. At first, it was only a trickle, a whisper of a gas dissolving in the oceans. But over millions of years, the whispers grew louder. Oxygen began to accumulate, transforming seas and skies in ways that would forever change the story of life. For the anaerobic microbes, this was not a blessing. It was a catastrophe. Oxygen corroded their cells, disrupting the chemistry that had kept them alive for ages. Entire lineages vanished. What we now call the Great Oxidation Event was for them a mass extinction. It was as though the planet itself had turned against them, filling the air with poison. But for other forms of life, oxygen became an opportunity. It unlocked new ways of making energy more efficient and powerful than before. Instead of living only in shallow waters or clinging to fragile niches, organisms could grow larger, move more, and eventually become more complex. From this invisible upheaval, the path toward multicellular life began. The path that would one day lead to fish, forests, birds, and to you. Think about that for a moment. Every breath you take carries the legacy of that ancient disaster. The air that sustains you now was once the agent of death for countless creatures. Life is like that, full of paradox and reinvention. What harms some becomes salvation for others. What ends one story begins another. As you rest tonight, imagine the ocean in those distant times. The water was tinted with iron, rich and red, absorbing the oxygen as it rose. Eventually, when the iron was used up, oxygen spilled freely into the sky, changing the very color of the atmosphere. The earth itself exhaled for the first time, and the world was never the same again. There is something humbling about remembering this. We live in an oxygen-rich world, and rarely notice how fragile that balance island. The breath that feels so natural, so effortless, was once an impossibility. And even now, each inhale ties you to a chain of events, stretching back billions of years to microbes so small you could not see them with your eyes, yet so powerful they reshaped the planet. Let this thought soothe you. What feels ordinary is actually miraculous. The rise and fall of gases, the invisible chemistry of air, the rhythm of breath, all of it is part of a grand, patient story. And in that story you are both an ending and a continuation, the inheritor of oxygen's strange and ancient gift. As your breathing slows with the night, think of those first organisms that could not survive in the presence of oxygen. Imagine their quiet disappearance, their legacy absorbed into the soil and stone. Then picture the new life that followed, cells learning to use oxygen, harnessing it for energy, growing more complex with each generation. Out of loss came resilience. Out of poison came vitality. Out of endings came beginnings. And isn't that the lesson life offers us again and again? That what seems destructive may carry seeds of transformation. That what feels like an end may quietly prepare the ground for something new. Oxygen, once toxic, is now the very reason you are here, listening, resting, breathing. So breathe again gently, and know that each breath is part of this ancient cycle. The molecules filling your lungs were born in stars, carried by oceans, and shaped by the struggles of microbes long vanished. You are not separate from this story. You are the continuation of it. Every inhale writes another line in the long poem of Earth. And as you close your eyes tonight, let oxygen cradle you softly, not as poison but as promise. Let the rhythm of your breath carry you into sleep, steady and calm, like waves against the shore. Remember that even the air itself has a history of transformation, and so do you. What once harmed may one day heal. What feels unbearable may in time become the source of new strength. The Great Oxidation Event reminds us that life does not stand still. It shifts, adapts, and finds ways to flourish in the most unlikely circumstances. And so, as you drift into dreams, you too can trust that change need not be feared. It may hold within it the quiet beginnings of something beautiful. When you picture a plant, what comes to mind? Perhaps something gentle, green and quiet, stretching its leaves toward the Sunday. Plants seem to live simple lives, asking for little more than light, water and soil. But some plants carry secrets hidden beneath their stillness. Tonight we wander into their world, the world of carnivorous plants, those patient green hunters that blur the line between stillness and hunger. Imagine walking through a wetland on a summer day. The air is heavy with moisture, and the soil beneath your feet is soft and poor in nutrients. For most plants, this would be a harsh place to grow. The ground offers little nourishment, too little nitrogen for roots to thrive. But here, evolution has carved a different path. Instead of searching for food in the soil, some plants have learned to capture it from the air, or more precisely from the creatures that drift and crawl upon it. Take the Venus flytrap, perhaps the most famous of these green predators. Its leaves are shaped like open jaws, lined with delicate hairs. When an insect wanders inside and touches one hair, nothing happens. A second touch within a matter of seconds, and the trap snaps shut with startling speed. The insect finds itself trapped between spines that interlock like prison bars. The fly struggles, but the plant holds firm. Slowly over days, the Venus flytrap releases digestive juices, breaking down its prey and absorbing the nutrients hidden within. Then, like a patient hunter, it reopens, ready to begin again. Why this clever trick? Because the soil gives so little. The flytrap has traded stillness for strategy, transforming its leaves into jaws. And though it does not move far, its reach is wide, catching what drifts too close. Not far away in other wetlands, pitcher plants take a different approach. Their leaves form deep tubes filled with liquid, smooth and slippery along the edges. Insects lured by sweet nectar lean too far, tumble in, and find themselves trapped in a pool of enzymes. There is no escape. Slowly the plant digests them, turning hunger into survival. Each pitcher is like a well of patience, waiting silently for the unwary. And then there are sundews, their leaves covered with tiny, glistening tentacles. To the eye, they shimmer like morning dew, but each droplet is sticky. When a fly lands, it becomes caught in the glue, and the leaf slowly curls inward, wrapping the insect in a gentle but relentless embrace. Hours pass, then days, as the plant consumes its meal. To watch is to see stillness come alive with intent. What is remarkable about all these plants is not just their hunger, but their ingenuity. They have adapted to scarcity with creativity. Where soil fails them, they invent new strategies. Where roots cannot reach, leaves transform into traps. They are reminders that survival is not always about force. Sometimes it is about patience, design, and quiet persistence. Picture these plants now swaying gently in the breeze. Their traps open their patience endless. They do not chase. They do not run. They wait, trusting that the world will bring what they need. In their stillness lies a kind of confidence, a calm assurance that what is necessary will come. And in this, perhaps, there is a lesson for us as well. As you rest tonight, think of the ways life adapts. Just as these plants found a way to turn hunger into invention, you too can find ways to endure scarcity. You may not sprout jaws or sticky tentacles, but you can learn to wait, to transform, to make something out of what little you have. Survival is not only about strength, it is about imagination. Some might find these plants frightening, but they are no more ruthless than any other creature. They are simply alive, finding food in a way that fits their world. And if you listen closely, they are not predators at all, but teachers. They show us that stillness can be active, that patience can be powerful, and that even the gentlest green can hide extraordinary resilience. Imagine drifting now among a field of sundews, the evening light catching each droplet like jewels. Imagine leaning over a pitcher plant, its surface glistening, its depth mysterious. Imagine the flytrap, its jaws half open, poised but calm, waiting. There is no malice here, only the quiet determination of life. And isn't that soothing in its own way? To know that even in the harshest places, life finds a way to bloom, to feed, to continue. The wetland may be poor in soil, but it is rich in ingenuity. And as you drift towards sleep, you too can feel that richness in your own life, the quiet knowledge that you have within you, the ability to adapt, to transform, to survive. The carnivorous plant whispers to you tonight, patience is power. You do not need to chase what is yours. You do not need to grasp wildly for what you lack. Like the sundew and the flytrap, you can rest, wait, and trust that what you need will find you. So close your eyes now. Let your body be still, your thoughts, as calm as a silent meadow. Let the green predators keep watch in your imagination, not as threats, but as companions, for they remind you that even stillness can feed you, even patience can sustain you, and even scarcity can be transformed into abundance. Hold a leaf in your hand. At first glance, it may seem so ordinary, just a green slip of nature, fragile and light. But look closer, lift it gently toward the light, and you'll discover that each leaf is a masterpiece, as unique and intricate as a fingerprint. Tonight, let us wander into the quiet world of leaves, those patient architects of life, and see how they hold within their delicate bodies the power to sustain nearly everything on earth. Every leaf carries within it a hidden river system. If you trace the veins across its surface, you'll see patterns that mirror branching streams or winding roads, each one delivering water, minerals, and sugars to every cell. This network is not random. It is exquisitely organized, efficient, yet beautiful, designed to spread nourishment evenly from edge to edge. Through these veins, life flows silently, constantly keeping the leaf alive so that it may in turn keep you alive as well. On the surface of the leaf are tiny pores called stomata. They are so small that you cannot see them with your naked eye, and yet they are gateways of breath. They open to let in carbon dioxide, the raw material for photosynthesis, and they release oxygen, the gift that fills your lungs with every breath. In a single day, an acre of leaves can produce enough oxygen for thousands of people. These pores are like soft voices, speaking a language of gases opening and closing with the rhythms of light and air. At the heart of the leaf lies chlorophyll, the green pigment that captures sunlight. With every photon of light, it begins a process so elegant and so essential that without it, life on Earth would simply not exist. The leaf turns sunlight into sugar energy, into matter light, into food. And it does this not for itself alone, but for entire ecosystems. The sugars produced in a leaf flow downward to roots, outward to fruits, and onward to creatures who depend on plants for survival. That includes you and me, every animal, every breath, every meal. But leaves are not only functional, they are artists in their own right. Look at how they shape themselves. Some are broad and flat, catching as much sunlight as possible. Others are slender and narrow, designed to conserve water in dry places. Some are waxy to repel rain, others fuzzy to deter insects. And every autumn in certain places, leaves stage a performance of color, turning gold, crimson, and amber before they fall. Each leaf is a canvas painted by climate, soil, and season shifting its hues in a cycle as old as time. There are leaves that follow the sun across the sky, tilting slowly from east to west, always seeking light. There are leaves that fold themselves shut at night, as if to rest. There are even leaves that catch rainwater, providing tiny reservoirs for insects and frogs. To walk through a forest is to walk through a gallery of living art, each leaf an expression of survival and beauty intertwined. And yet, despite their abundance, no two leaves are exactly alike. Each one carries its own pattern of veins, its own shape, its own history of growth. Some are torn by wind, others spotted by age, still others unblemished and bright. They remind us that uniqueness is everywhere, even in the most ordinary of things. As you rest tonight, let yourself imagine the gentle architecture of a single leaf. See the veins as rivers of life, the stomata as tiny mouths breathing for the world, the chlorophyll as quiet hands catching sunlight. Feel how every leaf is a gift, a bridge between the sky above and the soil below, transforming light into matter, matter into nourishment, and nourishment into life. Perhaps there is a lesson here too. Like leaves, we are each part of a larger cycle. We take in, we give out, we transform what we are given into something that sustains others. You may not always see the impact of your breath, your words, or your actions, but like the work of leaves, it matters. Quietly, invisibly, it shapes the world. Picture now a meadow at dawn. Every blade of grass, every branch, every leaf, shimmering with dew. The rising sun touches them, and within moments, photosynthesis begins again. The world awakens through leaves, and life continues. Or imagine a forest in autumn golden leaves, drifting to the ground, forming a blanket that will feed the soil, preparing the earth for spring. Even in death, a leaf nourishes. Even in silence, it matters. Let this thought calm you as you drift deeper into sleep. You are part of this same quiet artistry. Your breath connects you to leaves. Your meals carry their gift. Your very being is tied to their patient work. And just as they give without asking, you too are woven into the generous fabric of life. So close your eyes and imagine yourself as a leaf stretched gently toward the sky, drinking in light, giving out air, part of a forest of countless others, each one unique, yet all working together. Feel the stillness, the purpose, the grace of that existence, and know that like a leaf, you too are both fragile and essential, simple and miraculous, fleeting and eternal. Imagine walking along a quiet shoreline at night. The air is cool, the sand soft beneath your feet, and the waves roll in with a rhythm as steady as your breath. Then, as the water breaks, you notice something extraordinary. The waves shimmer with light glowing blue-green like liquid stars spilling onto the beach. This is no illusion, no trick of moonlight. It is life itself, tiny creatures shining in the dark, turning the ocean into a dreamscape. Tonight, we drift with the bioluminescent seas. Bioluminescence is the ability of living organisms to produce their own light. Fireflies use it on warm summer nights, but in the ocean, it is far more common, woven into the lives of countless species. The glowing waves you see on certain beaches are caused by plankton microscopic drifters that light up when disturbed. When a wave crashes or a swimmer moves through the water, the plankton flash, releasing a burst of cold light as a response. The sea glows not because of reflection, but because of reaction, tiny sparks born from life itself. In some places, this glow is so intense that entire bays shimmer under the stars. Mosquito Bay in Puerto Rico, for instance, is famous for its brightness. The Maldives, too, are known for shorelines that glisten like galaxies fallen into the sea. To stand on such a shore is to feel as if you are walking among stars, each step sending ripples of light outward like whispers into the night. But why do these creatures glow? For some, it is a form of defense. A sudden flash startles predators or confuses them long enough for escape. For others, it is communication, a way to signal to mates or companions. In the deep sea, where sunlight never reaches, bioluminescence becomes a universal language. Fish dangle glowing lures to attract prey. Squid release clouds of light instead of ink. Even jellyfish pulse with ethereal glows drifting like lanterns in the abyss. The chemistry behind it is simple, yet elegant. An enzyme called luciferase reacts with a molecule called luciferin, releasing energy as visible light. No fire, no heat, just a soft glow, efficient and silent. The result is breathtaking, a conversation of light across the oceans. As you rest tonight, picture yourself standing in that glowing tide. Each wave that touches your feet flares with light before fading back into darkness. The sea seems alive, breathing light in and out with every movement. It is a reminder that even in the darkest places, life finds a way to shine, and perhaps you too carry such a light within you. It may not glow visibly in the night, but it flickers in your kindness, your patience, your quiet resilience. Just as the plankton brighten the waves with each disturbance, you may shine most when life stirs you, when challenges press against you, when the world seems dark. Bioluminescence has evolved independently, many times over 40 times across different species. That means life did not stumble upon this glow by accident once, but again and again, in different forms and places. It is as if the universe itself whispers to living things, shine, shine to survive, shine to connect, shine to remind the darkness that it does not win. Think of the deep ocean far below the surface, where no sunlight can reach. Down there, nearly every creature glows. Anglerfish dangle lanterns to lure prey. Shrimp release bursts of light to escape predators. Entire schools of tiny fish flash in unison, creating waves of light that ripple through the abyss. It is a galaxy, hidden in water stars, that swim instead of burn, a universe beneath the waves. And in this universe, there is no need for sunlight. Life makes its own. That perhaps is the quietest and most reassuring lesson of all. Even when no light reaches you, you can create your own glow. Even when the world feels dark, there is always a flicker waiting to rise. So let yourself drift into that image now. You are standing on a shore, the tide glowing around you. Each step you take sends sparks into the night. Above, stars scatter across the sky. Below, stars scatter in the sea. You are walking between two infinities of light held gently in the space where ocean meets air. Your breath slows, your body softens, and you feel yourself glowing too, not with fire but with peace. As you fall asleep tonight, remember that the ocean glows without asking, without effort, simply because it can. You too can rest without striving, knowing that your light does not vanish in stillness. It waits soft and steady, ready to shine when the moment calls. When you look in the mirror, you see one person, one body, one face, one mind. But the truth is softer, stranger, and far more intricate. You are not just you. You are also a world, an ecosystem, a vast living community made up of trillions of tiny companions. Tonight we turn inward and drift through that hidden universe inside you, the microbiome. Imagine yourself shrinking down until you are small enough to walk along the surface of your own skin. What you would see there is astonishing, a crowded landscape of bacteria, fungi, viruses, and other microscopic life. They live not only on the outside of you, but also within, especially deep in your gut, where the densest and most diverse populations thrive. And here is the quiet miracle. These microbes are not just passengers. They are partners. Your microbiome helps digest the food you eat, breaking down fibers and producing vitamins that your body cannot make on its own. Without them, meals would pass through you unfinished, like stories left unread. They also train your immune system, teaching it to distinguish between friend and foe. Without their guidance, your defenses would be clumsy, striking wildly instead of wisely. But their influence goes even deeper. Some microbes produce chemicals that affect your brain, shaping mood, memory, even behavior. A happy gut often means a happier mind. It may sound strange to think that tiny organisms in your stomach can touch your thoughts, but science is finding again and again that this connection is real. You are in part what they are. Every person's microbiome is unique. Just as no two fingerprints are alike, no two microbial communities are identical. They are shaped by the food you eat, the places you live, the people you meet, and even the pets that curl at your feet. To share space is to share microbes, tiny exchanges of invisible companions moving silently from one body to another. In this way, your microbiome tells the story of your life, written in microscopic letters. Pause for a moment and let that thought settle. You are never truly alone. Even in silence, even in solitude, you carry within you trillions of tiny lives. Some protect you, some compete with intruders. Some simply go about their business, feeding, growing, and resting. Together they form a community so vast that their numbers outmatch the stars in the Milky Way. Picture them now as glowing constellations inside you, each spark, a tiny being, working, breathing, building. Together they form rivers of activity that keep you alive. They are like a city that never sleeps, with billions of citizens, performing billions of tasks, all coordinated without your awareness. And somehow, miraculously, it all works. There is comfort in knowing this isn't there, that even when you feel small or fragile, you are supported by an entire universe of allies. You are not just one body. You are a walking symphony, a chorus of life, singing quietly beneath your skin. And like any ecosystem, balance matters. When your microbiome is nourished, it flourishes. When it is disrupted, you feel it in your energy, your mood, your health. This is why the foods you choose, the rest you give yourself, even the calmness you allow into your life, ripple outward into this hidden world. Each decision you make feeds not only you, but also the community within. Scientists are still learning about the microbiome, uncovering mysteries with each passing year. Some studies suggest that these tiny partners may influence conditions as varied as allergies, depression, and immunity. Others explore the possibility of using microbes as medicine, reshaping the balance within to restore health. The more we learn, the clearer it becomes to care for yourself is also to care for them. So tonight, as you drift into rest, imagine your body as a vast and peaceful garden. Within it, countless beings are at work, quietly tending, quietly thriving. You do not need to direct them. You do not need to understand every detail. You need only to rest, to trust, to allow the garden to flourish in its own way. Think of how extraordinary it is that your body, which feels like a single whole, is in truth a community of many. It is proof that life is not about separation, but about connection. Just as forests share resources underground, just as oceans glow with the light of many tiny creatures, so too are you a collection of small lives bound together in harmony. Let that thought comfort you as you breathe slowly in and out. With each breath, you are not just sustaining yourself, you are sustaining trillions of companions. They move with you, they rest with you, they dream with you. You are never alone, for you are in every sense a world within a world. So close your eyes now. Feel yourself soften into the rhythm of your breath, the gentle beating of your heart. Imagine your inner world, glowing with quiet activity, peaceful and balanced, each tiny voice adding to the song of life. You are not just one being, you are many, and together you are whole. Deep in the forests of South America, there is a river that does not flow with water. It flows with ants. Army ants, countless and tireless, move across the jungle floor in endless columns, searching, building, living together as one. And when they meet an obstacle, when a stream cuts across their path, or a gap breaks the forest floor, they do not stop. They build a bridge, not from stone or wood, but from their own bodies. Tonight, we drift into the remarkable world of living bridges. Imagine watching as the column reaches a fallen log. The ants hesitate for only a moment. Then the first begins to cling to the edge. Another climbs onto its back. Then another, and another, until a chain forms hanging like a thread across the gap. More ants join, weaving themselves into the structure. Slowly, a living bridge stretches forward, anchored at both ends, flexible yet strong. Within moments, the colony continues to march across, flowing over their own kind as though walking on a road made of life. Each ant is small, fragile on its own, but together they create structures capable of holding thousands. They do this without a leader giving commands, without blueprints or plans. Instead, each ant responds to the tug of its neighbor, to the contact of tiny legs, to simple instincts shaped by millions of years. From these local decisions, emerges something astonishing, a bridge that is both solid and alive, a creation made not of wood or stone, but of cooperation. Think about the elegance of that. Thousands of ants, each carrying only the smallest fragment of awareness, somehow weave themselves into something greater. Their strength is not individual, but collective. Alone, an ant would drown in a puddle. Together, they can cross rivers. Alone, an ant would stumble at a gap. Together, they build pathways across the forest. As you picture this, let yourself imagine the bridge, glowing softly in the darkness, each ant a point of light, joining with the next, until a luminous arc stretches across the jungle floor. Life connecting, life creating passage where none existed before. And perhaps as you rest, you feel the quiet truth in this, that you too are part of bridges you cannot always see. Your connections with others, the people who care for you, the voices that guide you, the unseen kindnesses that hold you. These are the living bridges of your own life. They carry you across difficulties. They remind you that you do not have to cross the gaps alone. When the ants are finished, crossing the bridge does not remain. Slowly the ants detach, one by one, rejoining the river of their colony. The structure dissolves, and yet nothing is lost. The bridge was never meant to last forever. It existed for as long as it was needed, and then it returned to the flow of life. There is a lesson there too. Not every bridge is meant to endure. Some exist only for a moment, to help us cross what seems impossible before fading back into memory. And that is enough. The gift of a bridge is not permanence but passage. Scientists who study these ants have marveled at how efficient their bridges are. They adjust their length and thickness depending on the traffic and the weight of the colony. If the gap is wide, more ants join. If the load is light, the bridge becomes thinner. They are structures that adapt in real time, balancing strength and flexibility with quiet precision. Think of how soothing that is, the knowledge that even the smallest creatures through cooperation can achieve balance. It is not about control or dominance. It is about trust, each ant trusting the next to hold on, to stay steady, to become part of something larger. As you drift towards sleep, let this image cradle you. Imagine yourself walking across a living bridge of light, each step held by countless gentle beings beneath you. You feel safe, supported, carried forward. And as you move, you realize that you are also part of the bridge, that your presence helps hold the structure together for those who come after. You are supported and you support. You are carried and you carry. The living bridges of ants whisper to us that strength lies in connection, that cooperation is a form of survival, and that together we can cross even the widest rivers. So tonight, as your breath slows and your body softens, rest in that truth. You are not alone. You are part of something larger, something woven from countless lives, something strong enough to carry you wherever you need to go. In the quiet depths of the ocean, where sunlight fades into blue silence, a creature drifts with arms outstretched, its body shimmering and shifting like a dream. It is the octopus, master of disguise, master of transformation. Already remarkable for its intelligence and agility, it carries within it an even deeper mystery. Unlike most creatures, the octopus can rewrite parts of itself not by changing its DNA, but by editing the messages that flow from DNA into life. Tonight we wander with this shape-shifting wonder and explore its secret script. Every living thing begins with DNA, a code written in sequences of letters that determine how bodies form, grow, and survive. In most animals, those instructions are fixed. A bird, a whale, a human, we all live by the rules given to us at birth. But the octopus has learned another way. It edits its RNA, the fragile messenger that carries instructions from DNA to the machinery of the cell. In doing so, it can fine-tune its biology in real time, rewriting the way its neurons work, the way it senses the world, even the way it responds to temperature and stress. Imagine that a creature not bound by the rigidity of its blueprint, but able to improvise as it goes. It is as if the octopus carries a pen and constantly scribbles new notes into its genetic symphony. One day the melody bends toward cold waters, another toward the feel of prey moving through the currents. In its world of shifting light and constant danger, such flexibility is not just clever, it is survival. Picture the octopus now, its body rippling with colors as it blends into coral, then sand, then rock. Its skin holds specialized cells, chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores, that expand and contract to paint patterns instantly. Stripes, spots, sudden flashes, all are within its power. One moment it vanishes into the seabed. The next it flares into brilliant, startling predators and mesmerizing prey. But beneath this visible magic lies another quieter one, the rewriting of its own molecular script. And perhaps that is why the octopus feels so otherworldly to us. It is not only intelligent, not only alien in appearance, but also fluid at the deepest level of its being. While we are bound to follow instructions written long ago, it can adjust its story in the moment, living in a state of constant reinvention. There is something comforting in that thought. Because maybe in our own way, we are not so different. While we cannot edit our RNA, we do have the ability to adapt to change the way we think, the way we respond, the way we see the world. Like the octopus, we can choose new patterns, new colors, new ways of moving through the currents of our lives. Scientists still do not fully understand why octopuses edit so much of their RNA, or how they do it with such precision. But the effect is clear. It gives them extraordinary flexibility in their nervous system, perhaps contributing to their intelligence. For the octopus is not only a master of disguise, but also one of the most intelligent invertebrates on Earth. It solves puzzles, escapes, enclosures, remembers paths, and even seems to play. Behind those large, watchful eyes lies a mind both curious and strange. Imagine one now slipping through the water arms, trailing like ribbons. It explores a shell, testing its weight, then arranges rocks to build a den. Later, it squeezes through a hole, no larger than your fist, its soft body folding like liquid. At every turn, it adapts. At every moment, it surprises. As you rest tonight, let yourself drift with the octopus in its realm of fluidity. Picture yourself surrounded by shifting light, your body as flexible as water, your mind as adaptable as the sea. You too can let go of rigidity, surrendering to the possibility that you can be more than one thing, more than one pattern, more than one story. And perhaps this is what makes the octopus a gentle teacher for us. It reminds us that identity is not fixed, that change is not failure, that adaptation is a kind of wisdom. Just as it edits its RNA to fit the moment, so too can you adjust your perspective, your habits, your responses, shaping yourself anew with each day. So breathe slowly, as if underwater each inhale and exhale a gentle tide. Feel yourself soften into the idea of fluidity, the idea that nothing is permanent, that even your struggles can shift into strength. Like the octopus, you can write and rewrite, always finding a way to fit, to flourish, to survive. Close your eyes and imagine the octopus disappearing into coral, its body melting into the colors around it. For a moment, it is gone. But then with a soft ripple it reappears, transformed. You too can let yourself vanish into sleep tonight, not as an end, but as a transformation. When morning comes, you will emerge again, renewed, reshaped, ready. When you look into a mirror, you recognize yourself. You know the reflection is not another person staring back, but simply an image of you. It seems so natural, so obvious, that you rarely think about it. But in the animal world, this ability is rare, almost miraculous. Most creatures see only another being when they meet their reflection. Yet, A few seem to understand. That is me. Tonight, let us drift into the quiet mystery of self-recognition, where the line between I and other begins to blur. The test is simple, though profound. Scientists place a mark on an animal somewhere it cannot see without a mirror. If the creature looks into the glass and touches the mark on its own body rather than on the reflection, it suggests awareness. It suggests that the animal knows the image is not a stranger but itself. Among the animals that pass are the great apes, chimpanzees, bonobos, orangutans, and gorillas. When they see their reflection, some groom themselves, inspect their teeth, or touch the painted spot. Dolphins too pass this test, swimming before the mirror, twisting to see parts of their bodies they cannot otherwise view. Elephants, massive and gentle, have been seen lingering before mirrors, touching marks on their foreheads with their trunks. Even magpies, small black and white birds, have joined this quiet club of self-aware beings. And recently, scientists believe manta rays and even certain fish may also show signs of recognition. Imagine that for a moment, a dolphin gazing into glassy water, realizing that the movements it sees belong to itself. An elephant standing before a mirror, pausing in thought, gently exploring its own reflection. These moments are silent, but powerful glimpses into minds that may not be so separate from ours. For most animals, mirrors mean nothing. A dog may bark, thinking another dog has appeared. A cat may paw, curiously puzzled by the silent mimic. But for those who recognize themselves, something different stirs. They cross a boundary we once thought uniquely human. The awareness of self. What does this mean for them? We cannot know fully. Awareness may not feel the same to a dolphin as it does to you, or to an elephant as it does to me. But still, the fact that it exists at all tells us something important. Consciousness is not a single flame, but many sparks scattered across the tree of life. As you rest tonight, let yourself wonder about this spark. What does it mean to know yourself? To realize that you are not just a body moving through the world, but a being with an inner life. That spark flickers in you every day, when you reflect, when you dream, when you look inward. And somewhere in the ocean, a dolphin feels something similar. Somewhere in the savannah, an elephant pauses with quiet recognition. Somewhere in the sky, a magpie tilts its head in self-awareness. There is comfort in this. We are not alone in the mystery of consciousness. Other minds so different from ours still share the same quiet flame. Awareness is not our invention. It is nature's gift, given again and again, in ways we are only beginning to see. Picture yourself now, looking into a still pool of water. The moonlight glimmers across the surface, and your reflection gazes back. You touch the water, and the image ripples, but still you know it is you. Now imagine standing beside an elephant, its great form reflected in the same pool. It too reaches down, perhaps not with certainty, but with recognition. In that moment, your awareness and its awareness meet two beings connected by the fragile thread of self-recognition. As you drift deeper into sleep, let this thought cradle you, that the boundary between self and other is not as solid as we once believed. Life is full of mirrors, some literal, some hidden in the eyes of those we meet. And in those mirrors, we catch glimpses of ourselves reflected back, reminding us that awareness is not a possession, but a shared experience. So breathe gently now, knowing that you are part of a world where consciousness is not alone. It hums quietly in forests, swims silently through oceans, flies softly across skies. And as you close your eyes, your own spark of awareness joins the great constellation of minds across Earth, each one reflecting each one alive. Life on Earth is ancient, older than mountains, older than oceans in their present form. For billions of years it has flourished, adapted, and grown more complex. And yet time has not always been gentle. Again and again our planet has faced catastrophes so vast that most of its living creatures vanished. These are the mass extinctions the 5 great endings. Tonight, let us drift into their story, not as tales of despair, but as reminders of resilience, of life's endless ability to begin again. The first great extinction came about 445 million years ago, long before the first forests shaded the land. Most life still lived in the seas then. A sudden ice age gripped the earth, locking water into glaciers, dropping sea levels, and transforming shallow oceans into barren ground. Nearly 85% of marine species were lost. And yet in the darkness, survivors endured, carrying the spark of life forward. The second struck about 375 million years ago during the Devonian period. The seas were rich with early fish, and plants had only just begun to spread across continents. But changes in climate, combined with oxygen shortages in the oceans, led to collapse. Coral reefs withered. Countless fish species disappeared. Still, some lineages adapted, pushing forward into new forms that would eventually give rise to the first amphibians. The third was the most devastating of all, the Permian extinction about 252 million years ago. Scientists call it the Great Dying. Massive volcanic eruptions darkened skies, poisoned oceans, and altered the very chemistry of the atmosphere. Over 90% of marine life and 70% of land species were wiped away. Forests fell silent. Seas turned toxic. And yet, even in this emptiness, life endured. Tiny survivors became the ancestors of new lineages. From the ruins of the great dying, reptiles rose, and eventually the dinosaurs appeared. The fourth came about 201 million years ago, at the end of the Triassic period. Again, volcanic activity reshaped the world. Carbon dioxide filled the air, climates shifted violently, and many species could not adapt quickly enough. But in this clearing of life's stage, the dinosaurs gained dominance. From loss emerged an age that would last for more than 130 million years. The fifth is the one most people know, the end of the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. A massive asteroid struck the Earth near what is now Mexico. In an instant, shockwaves, fires, and towering tsunamis spread across continents. Dust darkened the skies, blocking sunlight for months, perhaps years. Plants withered, food chains collapsed, and nearly 75% of all species vanished. But in the spaces left behind, mammals flourished. Small, hidden creatures stepped into the open, eventually leading to primates, and much later to us. Think of this: 5 times the world as it was ended. 5 times the vast majority of life disappeared. And yet 5 times the story began again. Life does not end with endings. It reshapes itself, finding new paths, new forms, new ways of being. As you rest tonight, let this thought calm you. Extinction may sound final, but even in the darkest moments, life has proven its persistence. Out of devastation came forests, wings, songs, and minds. Out of silence came the hum of new beginnings. Perhaps there is a lesson here for us. Your own life may face moments that feel like endings, times when everything familiar falls away. But endings are not always destruction. Sometimes they are transformation. Sometimes they are the clearing of ground, so that something new can grow. Just as the earth endured 5 great endings and still continues, so too can you endure the small extinctions of your own life and rise again. Picture yourself floating through deep time. Oceans form and vanish, mountains rise, and crumble, species bloom and fade. Each ending feels immense, and yet each is followed by renewal. You drift onward safe, watching the planet turn its pages slowly, patiently. You see that nothing is truly final. Even catastrophe holds the seeds of tomorrow. So breathe gently now. Let the rhythm of your breath echo the rhythm of Earth's history, rise and fall, loss and renewal, endings and beginnings. Just as the planet has endured, so too will you. In the damp stillness of a tropical forest, where the air is heavy with mist and the ground glistens with fallen leaves, a strange drama unfolds, quiet, slow and unsettling. It begins with an ant going about its ordinary life, climbing, foraging, carrying out its role in the colony. But unknown to the ant, a spore has landed on its body, a tiny seed from a fungus with dark intentions. This is no ordinary partnership of nature. This is a silent takeover, one that blurs the line between life and control. Tonight, we drift into the world of parasitic fungi, masters of manipulation. The spore begins by slipping through the ant's outer shell, infiltrating its body. It grows thread-like filaments that spread through the insect, feeding on its tissues. At first, the ant behaves as usual, unaware of the invader. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, its behavior begins to change. The fungus is not content to simply feed, it wants to reproduce. And to do so, it must guide the ant to a place where its spores can spread most effectively. Imagine the ant now compelled by something beyond its own instincts. It leaves the safety of the colony, climbing higher than it normally would, moving toward light instead of shadow. Finally, it clamps its jaws onto a leaf or a branch, locking itself in place. And then, still alive, but no longer in control, it waits. The fungus continues its work, feeding, spreading, and eventually ending the ant's life. From the body, a stalk emerges, rising like a grim banner, releasing new spores into the air. These drift downward, ready to begin again with another unsuspecting host. This is not fiction. It is a real biological strategy, one perfected by evolution over millions of years. Known as Ophiocordyceps, this parasitic fungus has mastered the art of control so precisely that scientists still struggle to understand how it manipulates its host's nervous system. It does not simply kill the ant. It rewrites its behavior, turning it into a vessel for its own survival. There is something chilling about this story, yet also something strangely fascinating. It reminds us that nature is not always gentle, not always harmonious. Beneath the beauty of forests lies a darker elegance, strategies so cunning that they seem almost otherworldly. And yet this too is part of the great tapestry of life. As you rest tonight, think of the lesson hidden in this strange partnership. The fungus does not act with malice, it acts with purpose. Its strategy is harsh, but it is survival. And survival takes many forms, some luminous, some unsettling, all remarkable in their own way. Picture the forest where this unfolds. The air is thick with green, the ground alive with insects, and somewhere above an ant clings silently to a leaf. Around it, other ants march on unaware life, continuing as it always does. In this hidden theater, the fungus grows unseen, a quiet reminder that even the smallest organisms can wield extraordinary power. And perhaps, in its strange way, this story also carries a message for you. Sometimes, life pulls us in directions we do not fully understand. Sometimes we feel guided by forces beyond our control, circumstances, emotions, histories, not of our choosing. Yet even in those moments, we are still part of the larger flow of life. Just as the forest continues to breathe around the ant, so too does the world hold you even in times of struggle. The parasitic fungus may seem terrifying, but it is also evidence of life's creativity. To survive it, found a path no one could have imagined. Not teeth or claws, but control. Not speed or strength, but patience. And in its own unsettling way, it shows us that nature never runs out of strategies. So breathe gently, now letting the story soften into the edges of your dreams. You do not need to dwell on its darker tones. Instead, let it remind you of the vast imagination of life, of the infinite ways survival takes shape. Some are beautiful, some are strange, and all are part of the same great pattern. As the night deepens, picture yourself as the forest itself, vast green and enduring. Within you are stories of predators and prey, of light and shadow, of beginnings and endings. You hold them all just as Earth does, without judgment, without fear, and in that holding you find peace. Look around you, and you will notice blue everywhere. The sky stretches in vast shades above. The ocean ripples with shifting blues beneath the sunday. Even the shimmer of a butterfly's wings or the flash of a bird's feathers may catch your eye in dazzling sapphire tones. And yet here is the quiet truth in nature: blue is among the rarest colors of all. Tonight let us wander into the mystery of this elusive shade and discover why blue is more a trick of light than a pigment of life. Most colors in the natural world come from pigments molecules that absorb some wavelengths of light and reflect others. The red of a rose, the green of a leaf, the yellow of a sunflower. These are colors made from chemical dyes, written into the tissues of living things. But blue is different. Very few creatures can produce true blue pigments. Instead, most of the blue we see in nature is not pigment at all, but structure. Take a blue jay, perched quietly on a branch. Its feathers contain no blue pigment. Instead, microscopic structures scatter light, bending and reflecting only the shorter blue wavelengths back to your eyes. To the bird itself, those feathers are not painted with color. They are carved from light. The same is true of morpho butterflies, their wings shimmering with an iridescence that seems to glow. The blue is not in the scales themselves, but in the way those scales are shaped like millions of tiny mirrors aligned in perfect patterns. Even the radiant tail feathers of a peacock owe their brilliance not to dye but to microscopic architecture. This phenomenon is called structural coloration. It is an optical illusion, not of trickery, but of physics. Light dances across minuscule ridges, layers, and lattices, scattering into the breathtaking blues that we see. If you crush a blue jay's feather, the color disappears. The pigment is nothing unusual. It is the shape that makes the magic. True blue pigments are so rare that only a handful of plants and animals have managed them. The Himalayan blue poppy holds one. A few frogs and fish produce another. But for the most part, blue in nature is borrowed from light itself, and that makes every glimpse of it feel like a gift. Why is blue so rare? Chemistry holds the answer. To reflect blue pigments, molecules must absorb red and green wavelengths, a difficult task that requires complex arrangements. Evolution instead has chosen an easier path, sculpting tissues to bend light rather than creating new dyes. It is simpler to arrange structures than to invent molecules. And so, most of nature's blues are illusions, beautiful, convincing, and fleeting. Think of this as you picture a butterfly drifting across a meadow. Its wings flash glowing like bits of sky come to earth. The brilliance shifts with each angle, sometimes deep and vibrant, sometimes pale and subtle. The butterfly carries no paint, no dye. Only the physics of light creates its color, reminding us that beauty often depends on perspective. There is comfort in this thought, isn't there? To know that beauty need not be fixed or permanent, that it can arise from the meeting of light and form, from the simplest interactions of nature's laws. The rarest things are often not solid, but fleeting, not permanent, but ephemeral. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself surrounded by shades of blue, the deep indigo of twilight, the soft azure of a calm sea, the radiant glimmer of a peacock's plume. Let these hues wash over you, cool and soothing like a lullaby of light. Blue has always been a color of calm, a symbol of stillness, a reminder of infinity. Perhaps it feels rare because it touches something deep within us, the longing for peace, for space, for sky. Even in places we cannot see, blue hides in surprising ways. Many flowers, though not truly blue to human eyes, appear vivid blue in ultraviolet light. Bees with their special vision see patterns invisible to us, guiding them to nectar. What looks ordinary to us may blaze with secret signals in another spectrum. The world is painted with blues we may never fully witness, but they exist nonetheless. So breathe in slowly as if you are breathing in the vast sky. Breathe out gently, as if you are releasing clouds across the horizon. Let the rarity of blue remind you of the rarity of this moment, this breath, this life, precious, fleeting, shimmering in its own way. And when you close your eyes, imagine walking beneath a canopy of butterflies, their wings glowing like stained glass against the Sunday. Imagine looking up at a sky so wide it seems endless, or standing by the sea at dusk, watching waves shimmer with impossible hues. These visions of blue are your companions tonight, guiding you softly into sleep. For though blue may be rare in the language of pigments, it is abundant in the language of wonder. The sky, the ocean, the shimmer of wings, all whisper to you that beauty need not be common to be eternal. It need only appear just once to leave its mark on your heart. On the wide savanna, where the grasses ripple like waves beneath the wind, a family of elephants moves slowly across the land. Their footsteps are soft yet powerful, leaving trails in the dust that others will follow. Among them are mothers, calves, and grandmothers, elders, who guide the herd with quiet wisdom. Elephants are known for many things: their size, their strength, their long memories. But perhaps their most moving quality is their ability to grieve. Tonight, let us drift into the tender world of elephants, where remembrance and mourning reveal the depth of their hearts. Imagine an elephant coming upon the bones of one who has passed. The herd slows. They approach carefully, their trunks reaching out to touch the ivory remains. They linger, not rushing, as though acknowledging a presence that has long since faded. Some stay silently, gently tracing tusks with their trunks. Others carry bones for short distances before setting them down again, almost as if in ritual. These are not random movements. They are acts of recognition, acts of memory. Elephants have been observed returning to the sites where companions died even years later. When they find the bones, they pause, they touch, they stay. It is as if they are remembering not just a body, but a life once lived, a bond once shared. Scientists cannot fully explain what elephants feel, but it is clear they feel something deeply akin to grief. Consider how rare this island. Many animals experience loss, but few display outward signs of mourning. Elephants, however, seem to carry an awareness of absence. They are social creatures, living in close-knit herds, led by matriarchs who remember the paths to water, the timing of rains, the stories written into the land. Their bonds are not fleeting. They last lifetimes. And when one of them is gone, the silence echoes in the hearts of those who remain. There are stories of elephants standing vigil over the bodies of their fallen, refusing to leave for days. Stories of mothers nudging calves that will never rise, unwilling to accept the stillness. Stories of herds pausing their long migrations to honor their dead before moving on. These moments reveal a truth we cannot ignore. Empathy, loss, and love are not ours alone. They run deep in other beings, too older and larger than ourselves. And yet within their mourning, elephants also hold resilience. Life in the wild demands it. Calves must grow, herds must travel, water must be found. Even as they grieve, elephants continue forward, carrying the memory of those they have lost. In their way, they teach us that mourning and living are not opposites, but companions. One does not end when the other begins. They walk side by side. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself walking with a herd of elephants beneath a fading sky. The sun sets in hues of gold and violet. The air is warm, filled with the distant calls of birds. You move among giants who carry centuries of memory within them. Each step feels steady, timeless, full of presence. Around you the herd hums with quiet strength. and within their eyes you see both wisdom and tenderness, power and vulnerability. There is comfort in knowing that creatures so vast and strong still feel deeply, still pause to grieve. It reminds us that sensitivity is not weakness, but strength of another kind. To remember to mourn, to honor the lives that came before, these are not burdens but gifts. Perhaps as you listen to this story, you remember your own losses, the people or moments you carry in your heart. Like the elephants, you may return to them now and then, touching those memories, softly acknowledging what they meant. And, like the elephants, you can hold both grief and life in the same breath. The savannah is quiet now, the herd resting beneath the stars. Somewhere in the distance a lion roars. But here in this circle of family, there is safety, connection, and remembrance. The elephants dream together their trunks, resting gently on the earth, their hearts still carrying those who are gone. So breathe deeply tonight, and let the memory of elephants guide you. Remember that love does not end with absence. It lingers, it echoes, it shapes the way we continue. And just as elephants grieve, yet move forward, so too can you carry your memories tenderly while still stepping into tomorrow. In their quiet mourning, elephants remind us of our shared humanity, not because they are like us, but because we are like them. Bound by memory, softened by love, connected by loss, and carried forward by resilience. Beneath the surface of warm, shallow seas lie cities unlike any you have ever known. They do not rise with steel or stone, nor are they planned with blueprints. Instead, they grow patiently, slowly through the labor of countless tiny builders. These are coral reefs, living cities crafted by animals so small you could cradle hundreds in the palm of your hand. Tonight, let us drift into their radiant world, where color, movement, and life merge into one vast and fragile masterpiece. At first glance, corals may seem like rocks, motionless and hard. But look closer, and you will find that each coral is a colony made up of hundreds or thousands of polyps. Each polyp is a tiny animal, with soft, translucent flesh and a ring of stinging tentacles. By day they hide within their limestone homes. By night they reach out to catch drifting plankton, feeding gently on the currents. Together they build skeletons of calcium carbonate, layering them over centuries until entire reefs stretch for miles. Imagine swimming through such a reef. Around you, colors blaze: reds, oranges, purples, and blues, shimmering beneath the filtered sunlight. Schools of fish flash past like liquid rainbows. Sea turtles drift lazily among corals. Tiny shrimp clean the scales of larger fish, while octopuses hide in crevices, their eyes gleaming with intelligence. Every corner is alive, every niche filled with movement. Though reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, they support nearly a quarter of all marine life. They are among the most diverse ecosystems on Earth. The scale of their achievement is staggering. A single reef may take thousands of years to grow each generation of coral, adding to the skeletons of those before it. From such patient labor, entire underwater mountains emerge strong enough to buffer coastlines, gentle enough to cradle delicate species. In their quiet persistence, corals show us that greatness is not built in haste, but in countless small acts repeated over time. And yet, despite their resilience, reefs are also fragile. They depend on delicate balances of temperature, light, and chemistry. When the water grows too warm, corals expel the algae that live inside their tissues, algae that provide much of their energy. Without them, the corals turn ghostly white, a phenomenon known as coral bleaching. If the stress continues, they cannot survive. Entire reefs can fall silent, their vibrant cities reduced to skeletal remains. Still, even in this fragility, there is wonder. For when conditions improve, corals can recover. New life returns, colors flare once more, and the city begins to rebuild. Survival, as always, is written into the story of life. And humans, too, have begun to help planting coral fragments, nurturing them in nurseries and returning them to the sea. In this way, we become caretakers of these underwater cities' partners in their resilience. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself drifting gently above a reef. The water is clear and warm. Sunlight dances in rippling patterns across the corals. Fish move in swirling schools, each one flashing like a spark. You feel weightless, safe, embraced by a world that is both alien and familiar. You are part of its rhythm, part of its vast yet fragile harmony. There is something soothing in the idea that such immense beauty is built from such tiny lives. Each polyp, no bigger than a grain of rice, contributes to the structure. Alone, it would vanish into the sea. Together, they create fortresses, habitats, and havens. It is a reminder that small actions matter, that what you build patiently with care and cooperation can become something vast and enduring. Perhaps you too have your reefs, those quiet, patient efforts that may seem small in the moment, but accumulate into something greater. The friendships you nurture, the kindnesses you offer, the dreams you tend over time. Like corals, these are the building blocks of your own living city, a legacy written not in stone, but in love. So breathe slowly now, as if through water, letting each breath carry you deeper into rest. Picture the reef glowing around you, vibrant yet peaceful, alive yet unhurried. Let its patience comfort you, let its colors soothe you, and let its persistence remind you that even fragile things can endure. And as you drift into sleep, hold this image a tiny polyp building quietly in the night, unaware that it is part of something magnificent. In its stillness, in its repetition, in its endless patience, it creates a world. You too can trust that what you build quietly will matter, even if you cannot yet see the whole. In a damp forest beneath the leaves where shadows linger and moisture clings, lives a creature that seems to come from another world. It has no brain, no heart, no nerves, and yet it solves puzzles that would challenge even clever animals. This is the slime mold, a being that looks like nothing more than a glistening patch of yellow or white spreading across rotting wood, but do not be deceived by its humble form. In its quiet way, it is a master of navigation, of problem-solving, of finding paths where none seem clear. Tonight we wander into its strange and mesmerizing world. Slime molds are not plants, not animals, not fungi, but something in between, drifting in their own category of life. When conditions are right, they exist as single cells scattered and unremarkable. But when food is scarce, they come together merging into a single mass that flows across the ground like a living puddle. This shapeless form, called a plasmodium, can stretch for meters, creeping slowly but surely towards sustenance. What makes slime molds extraordinary is their ability to make choices without a nervous system. Place them in a maze, and they will spread through every corridor searching. Slowly, they retract from dead ends and strengthen the paths that lead to food. In time, what remains is the shortest, most efficient route traced in their golden body. No brain guides them, no map directs them. Their intelligence is written into their very being, a distributed awareness that feels both alien and profound. Scientists have even compared slime mold networks to human systems. In one experiment, researchers placed food at points that mirrored the cities around Tokyo. The slime mold formed connections, nearly identical to the city's rail system, efficient, resilient, and strikingly similar to what human engineers had designed. It was as if this brainless organism could perform its own kind of quiet calculation, guided by nothing more than chemistry and persistence. Think about that for a moment. Intelligence, not as thought, but as process. Not as neurons firing in a skull, but as streams of living matter feeling its way through the world. It challenges what we imagine intelligence to be. Perhaps it does not always require a brain. Perhaps it can take the form of growth retreat and adjustment. Picture the slime mold now glowing softly, as it spreads across a log in the night. Each tendril stretches outward, testing the ground feeling with its entire body. It moves slowly, barely perceptible in the moment, but across hours it flows, branching and retracting, like veins of liquid light. To watch it is to witness patience made visible. And maybe in its strange way, the slime mold carries a lesson for us too. Sometimes the path forward is not found by rushing or forcing, but by exploring, trying, and adjusting. Sometimes it is enough to spread outward to test possibilities, to retreat from what does not nourish, and to strengthen what does. Like the slime mold, we can allow our lives to form patterns of wisdom simply by being present, by listening, by responding. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself as that glowing stream moving gently through the maze of your own thoughts. Where you find dead ends, you let them go. Where you find nourishment, you lean in. Slowly, a path emerges. Slowly, the noise fades, and what remains is the simplest, most graceful way forward. There is something comforting in this perspective. You do not need to have all the answers at once. You do not need to see the whole maze from above. You only need to move gently, patiently, and trust that clarity will come with time. The slime mold thrives, not by rushing, but by flowing, not by planning, but by feeling. And in this, it shows us that intelligence can be soft, slow, and steady. So close your eyes now. Picture a forest floor, after rain alive, with small glimmers. Among the moss and fallen leaves, the slime mold spreads like golden lace, weaving quiet connections in the dark. It does not hurry, it does not falter. It simply explores, finds, and remembers. In its silence, there is wisdom. In its patience, there is peace. And as you drift into sleep, let this be your image. A glowing living map that finds its way not through speed or force, but through persistence and grace. You too can trust the process of your own journey. Step by step, choice by choice, you are creating your path, just as the slime mold creates its shimmering patterns in the shadows of the forest. High above the canopy of the Amazon, the air shimmers with heat and light. Billions of leaves stretch toward the sky, drinking in the sun, releasing invisible vapor with every breath. And then, as the hours pass, the moisture gathers, rising into clouds that darken and swell, until at last the sky opens and rain falls once more. The Amazon rainforest does not simply receive rain, it creates it. Tonight, let us wander into this living cycle, where the forest and the sky are bound together in a rhythm as old as time. The Amazon is often called the lungs of the earth, but perhaps it is better thought of as a heart. Each tree pulls water from the soil and exhales it as vapor through a process called transpiration. A single large tree can release hundreds of gallons in one day. Multiply that by billions, and you begin to understand the scale. The forest pumps moisture into the air, rising with the heat until it condenses into clouds. And when those clouds burst, the rain feeds the forest again. It is a cycle of giving and receiving a breath that shapes weather across continents. Imagine standing in the rainforest as this happens. The air grows heavy, thick, with the scent of earth and leaves. Above clouds gather their edges, glowing silver against the fading Sunday. Then the first drops fall cool and steady, pattering against broad leaves drumming on the forest floor. Soon the rain is everywhere, cascading in sheets, filling rivers, refreshing roots. And when it slows, the forest glistens alive and renewed, already beginning to breathe the next round of vapor into the air. This cycle does not stop at the forest's edge. The Amazon's rain helps feed the skies of South America, influencing weather thousands of miles away. Some of its moisture even travels across the Atlantic, shaping rainfall in Africa. In this way, the forest is not just a local ecosystem, but a global force, a vast green heart beating moisture into the world. Yet this system is delicate. When too many trees are lost to fire or logging, the cycle weakens. Fewer leaves mean less transpiration, fewer clouds and less rain. Drought spreads, rivers shrink. What was once a self-sustaining loop begins to falter. Scientists warn of a tipping point, a moment when the forest might no longer be able to sustain itself. And yet for now it still breathes, still beats, still gives. There is a quiet lesson in this rhythm. Like the forest, we too depend on cycles, breath in, breath out, effort and rest, giving and receiving. When we honor these rhythms, we flourish. When we forget them, we falter. The Amazon shows us that life is not a straight line, but a circle, endlessly renewing itself through balance. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself as part of that circle. Each breath you take joins with the breath of the forest. Inhale, and you draw in the oxygen, released by leaves. Exhale, and you return carbon that roots will one day absorb. You are not separate from the forest. You are part of its cycle, woven into its rhythm carried by its rain. Picture the canopy now, stretching endlessly in all directions, a green ocean, alive with sound. Birds call monkeys, leap insects, hum. Beneath rivers, wind like silver threads, carrying rainwater back toward the sea. Above clouds, drift and gather heavy with promise. The forest breathes, the sky answers, and the cycle continues. There is comfort in this constancy. Even when the world feels uncertain, even when storms rise and seasons change, the great cycles endure. The Amazon reminds us that renewal is always possible, that what we give returns to us, that life finds balance through repetition. So close your eyes now. Hear the soft patter of rain on leaves, the steady pulse of drops against the earth. Feel yourself become the forest, exhaling moisture, inhaling renewal, part of a rhythm that stretches across time. Let this cycle lull you into rest, reminding you that you too can release, replenish, and begin again. Imagine a quiet forest in the far north, where winter descends with fierce stillness. The lakes freeze, solid the ground, hardens into stone, and the air grows sharp with cold. Most creatures burrow deep, fleeing from the frost. But beneath the leaf litter, hidden in silence, lies a frog that does not flee. It succumbs. Its body freezes. Stiff, its heartbeat stops. Its breath ceases. And yet when spring returns, it awakens as though nothing had happened. Tonight, let us drift into the story of the wood frog, a creature frozen yet alive. The wood frog lives across North America, even into the Arctic Circle where winters are unforgiving. When the cold deepens, the frog does not migrate or burrow far underground. Instead, it allows itself to freeze. Ice crystals form in its body, filling spaces between its organs, locking it in stillness. By all ordinary measures, the frog is gone. No pulse, no breath, no movement, and yet it endures. The secret lies in chemistry. As winter approaches, the wood frog floods its tissues with glucose and urea, substances that act like antifreeze. These molecules protect its cells from being destroyed by ice, preventing sharp crystals from tearing delicate membranes. While much of the frog's body solidifies, its most fragile parts remain intact, shielded by this sugary armor. Weeks, even months, may pass in this frozen state. Temperatures plunge far below freezing snow piles high above. Still the frog waits, neither alive in the usual sense, nor truly dead. It is suspended, preserved, holding on through the long silence of winter. Then, as spring sunlight returns, warmth seeps back into the soil. Slowly the frog thaws. Its heart begins to beat again. Its lungs draw breath. Within hours, it hops once more into the world, as if awakening from the deepest sleep imaginable. Think of the resilience in that. A creature so small, so fragile, capable of surviving what would end nearly any other life. The wood frog reminds us that survival is not always about resisting. Sometimes it is about surrendering, allowing stillness, trusting time, waiting for renewal. Picture yourself now as that frog resting beneath a blanket of leaves. The cold surrounds you, but inside you hold a quiet strength, a chemistry of endurance. You do not struggle against the ice. You allow it, knowing that warmth will return. And in that surrender, you survive. There is a lesson here for us too. In our own lives, winters come, not always of snow, but of difficulty, of silence, of loss. And sometimes the way through is not to fight endlessly, but to pause, to endure, to trust that seasons turn. Just as the frog waits for spring, so too can we trust that warmth and renewal will come again. Scientists study the wood frog with fascination, hoping its secrets might help us preserve organs for transplant, or even protect humans in extreme cold. But beyond the science lies a simple wonder that nature has found a way to blur the line between life and death to make survival possible in the harshest of times. As you breathe gently tonight, let this story comfort you. Even when all seems frozen, even when movement stops, life can wait patiently beneath the surface. Stillness does not always mean ending. Sometimes it is the quiet preparation for return. So close your eyes and imagine snow falling softly above you, muffling the world in white. Beneath you rest safe, your strength hidden but unbroken. When the thaw comes, you will rise again, renewed, alive, ready to move forward. The wood frog whispers to us that endurance can take many forms. Sometimes it is motion, sometimes it is silence, and sometimes it is simply waiting in stillness, frozen yet alive, until the world is kind once more. Far out at sea, where the horizon vanishes into mist and the waters deepen into endless blue, a song begins. It is low and resonant, rising from the depths like a heartbeat of the ocean. The sound carries across miles, sometimes hundreds, even thousands, traveling through water as though the sea itself were an instrument. It is the voice of a whale, long, mournful, beautiful, and ancient. Tonight, let us drift with these singers of the deep and listen to the music that binds oceans together. Whales are among the largest creatures on Earth, yet their most extraordinary gift may not be their size but their voices. Humpback whales in particular are famous for their complex songs, haunting sequences of moans, cries, and rhythms that last for hours. These songs are not random noise. They follow patterns with verses and choruses, repeating themes that evolve over time. A song may spread across an entire ocean with groups of whales learning it, altering it, and passing it on like a living tradition. Imagine floating in the water as one begins to sing. The sound vibrates through your body, deep and physical, more felt than heard. It resonates in your chest, in your bones, in your heart. The whale is far away, yet its voice reaches you, proof of connection across vast distances. But why do whales sing? Scientists are still unraveling the mystery. Some believe the songs help males attract mates. Others think they may serve as communication across the wide seas, a way of mapping space or maintaining contact. Whatever their purpose, the result is the same oceans filled with music, a symphony that no human composer could equal. The beauty lies not only in the sound, but in its endurance. Whale songs can travel farther than any other animal sound on Earth. Across entire basins, from one island chain to another, voices carry in the darkness, stitching oceans together with threads of sound. They remind us that even in the vastest silence, connection is possible. Picture the scene now, a humpback rising to the surface, exhaling a plume of mist, then slipping back beneath. Its song begins again, winding upward in long, drawn-out notes. Beneath it, other whales answer their voices, weaving together into harmonies that echo through the deep. The ocean is alive not only with movement, but with music. And perhaps as you hear this story, you feel your own connection to those songs. For sound, like breath, is universal. Just as you hum to yourself in quiet moments, just as you are comforted by lullabies and whispers, so too do whales fill their world with voice. It is their way of being present, of saying, I am here. There is comfort in knowing that the largest of creatures still seek connection, still fill the silence with music. It reminds us that we too are not meant for isolation. We are meant to sing, to share, to let our voices ripple outward until they reach someone else. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself floating in calm waters, the stars above the song of a whale rising from below. You do not need to understand every note. You only need to feel it, to let it carry you, to let it remind you of the vastness of life. You are not alone. Across oceans, across distances, voices are calling, connecting, reminding you that you belong to this great singing world. So close your eyes now. Let the song cradle you like waves. Let it drift into your dreams, low and steady, endless as the sea. And know that just as the whales sing across oceans, your own presence carries farther than you realize, reaching others in ways you may never see. The ocean's song whispers, this truth connection endures. Across time, across distance, across silence, life always finds a way to be heard.